Welcome to Shah's IAS Institute, taking a look at editorials and question bank for 15th October 2016. First, looking at the editorials. The first editorial in the Hindu newspaper, a return of Cold War tensions. This is regarding the deteriorating US and Russia relations. It says the biggest foreign policy challenge which the new US president will face will be how to have a relationship going ahead with Russia, which it says is angry and resurgent. So that the reasons being that it is fighting a proxy war in Ukraine. Russia has problems here. In Georgia in 2008 also it had fought a war, and even in Syria both the powers are involved. Russia is supporting Bashar al-Assad regime, which is known to be conducting atrocities against its own people, civilians there. So these are the problems. Also, US-Russia had come up with a peace deal on Syria, but then it was revoked. It did not stay on course. Russia had revoked itself from the plutonium deal which it had with USA to reduce plutonium stockpiles, that is nuclear weapons basically. So that has also not taken place. So that has also been suspended. So this is, it says, is a return to the Cold War tensions, which is not good for the world. Russia economically is suffering. The oil prices are low, so it is an exporter of oil, so it affects its economy. The economy is not doing well. But still Russia is asserting itself in its neighborhood, and this how US should tackle is the question. Putting restrictions on it. USA at one point of time had eliminated Russia from G8. So has put sanctions on it, which even Putin presently speaks of. That sanctions against Russia has to be revoked. So these things have been counterproductive. So what needs to be done is both powers come together and bring solutions to the international matters or problems before the world. So the one example which is highlighted is the Iran nuclear deal, which was with the Western powers, which was possible with both USA and Russia cooperating. So such an initiative has dissipated an significant problem which would have emerged if Iran would have turned rogue or something. So the both together as members of UN brought the Iran deal with Western powers, and that problem has been dissipated. So learning from that, we should go ahead on the same lines. The problems should be resolved with both powers cooperating. So that is the creative diplomacy it's talking of. The second editorial is time to decongest our prisons. This is regarding the news which we already saw yesterday about Supreme Court raising its voice on the issue of prisons in India being overcrowded. So how to decongest our prisons? Supreme Court asked these state governments and even Delhi Union Territory to put forth its plan about how does it plan to decongest prisons, what new infrastructure it would build. So even some proposals which came forth were haphazard proposals with not clear timelines. So Supreme Court has rebuked that too. So how should this problem be tackled? Even under trials, as we saw, under trials are in huge numbers. They are the majority in the prisons. So why are there so many under trials? Of course, judicial delay in India is the case. But another point which put forth in this editorial is that under trials can get bail. So there are many bailable offences, but then they do not get bail because they do not have enough economic resources. So these are even the poor people. So poor are suffering the more. And jails are being congested, because of which even the hygiene, sanitation and rights of the prisoners is affected. So Supreme Court upholds even the rights of prisoners. They are human beings. They should be treated humanly even if they are prisoners. So that right to life of these prisoners, decent life, is required even in prisons, is to be upheld. So the one provision which has been put forth in this editorial is section 436A of the Code of Criminal Procedure, under which under trials who have completed half of the maximum jail term specified for the offences can be released on personal bonds. So even if bails are not possible for them, on personal bonds they can still be released. So this should be more effectively used, is another point put forth. So that is it about the two editorials. Next we go to the question bank. The two articles in today's The Hindu newspaper, the lead article is again on Nobel Prize of Literature to Bob Dylan, which is not important for us. So that can be skipped. The other page, perspective page, has one complete article detailing about the fishermen's rights in India. So question has been framed on that. The question is, fishermen from India and Pakistan are increasingly being convicted for trespassing even as fishery has become increasingly vital to India's economic output and technical improvement. Better boats that enable riskier navigation and climate change alters traditional patterns of fishing. Elucidate. So on this statement we need to elucidate. So it's basically talking of trespassing between India and Pakistan, fishermen trespassing. Then there is better boats available, so riskier navigation is possible and affecting small fishermen too. Climate change is affecting the traditional patterns of fishing. So, and how do you tackle all this? So first, looking at the trespassing right. So it is said that there is a risk of being caught up by Pakistan Military Security Agency, which is patrolling Pakistani waters. So the idea is that there is an EEZ, Exclusive Economic Zone. This is the exclusive economic zone from the coast, which is decided under the international law under UN clause, United Nations Convention on Laws of the Sea. So this, from the land baseline, this much going into the sea 12 nautical miles. This is the measurement of distance in sea waters, nautical miles. So 12 nautical miles from the land is called traditional sea, that is territorial sea, which is part of the country's water only, territory as such. Then comes, so that is the territorial water. Beyond that is international waters. But then even in that international water, 200 nautical miles beyond the territorial sea is called exclusive economic zone. So in those regions only the country is having the rights on mining, fishing and everything. So this 200 nautical miles is a standard. If the shorelines of two lands are much closer to each other, then it's the midline which is taken. So let's say if the distance between two land areas belonging to two different countries is 300, then midline would be 150 nautical miles. Then they cannot claim 200. So 200 is the maximum which they can get, and then beyond that is high seas. So national water, international water, and even in international water, 200 nautical miles is exclusive economic zone. Next, coming to India-Pakistan issue 2, India-Pakistan boundaries are closer, and this region between Sindh in Pakistan and Gujarat in India is a region of dispute. The way we see Kashmir dispute, this is Sur Creek dispute, which has been going on for decades now. So the problem here is on how to decide the midline. So that is the issue between the two countries, and fishing is conducted both by Pakistani fishermen and Indian fishermen here in Gujarat, Daman and Diu. So they trespass each other's territorial waters in exclusive economic zone, and they are captured by the patrolling guards in each of these waters, by Pakistan as well as by India, and they are put behind bars. Their fishing equipments, trawlers are also taken over by diplomacy. Then they are released also later, but then the trawlers are not released, which results in lakhs of money lost by these fishermen. Even their families who depend on them, sometimes the sole breadwinners, they are affected. So though the government compensates them, but that is not the solution. We need to find a way out for this. The way out is also there. There's a committee, joint committee, which consults on this and results in exchange of fishermen on both the sides. But then it has not been meeting for the last 1.5 years in fishermen language. So there needs to be a more effective solution to this problem. So that is one issue of trespassing. Then another issue is about overfishing. That overfishing, because of mechanization, also better technology available, better vessels available, more fishing results in exploitation of resources. The fisheries reduce in those regions. So that is one aspect. The competition with limited fisheries resources. So of course each does not get enough. Then next is pollution. Many chemical, pharmaceutical companies, and more so in Gujarat, are located along the coast. So it talks of all that. Petroleum refineries, then power plants, then even the Alang port, which is known for ship breaking. So all these are located along the coast, so they affect the coastal region, and pollution also occurs in the river, in the sea waters, which results in fisheries being affected. So effluents from treatment plants are also going into the sea. So that is another problem. The third problem is climate change. So one of the most visible influences of greenhouse gas emissions is warming of the oceans. So warming of the oceans affect the spawning. Spawning means breeding, and the migratory patterns of commercially harvested fish. So of course then fishes would not be available in large numbers. Fishes prefer colder waters. So if water becomes warmer, they go deeper into the oceans, and then fishermen have to go further away along the shore from the shore to get better catch. So all this is also seawater level, salinity of the seawater increasing, all these sea wind patterns changing affect the fisheries, their breeding and their concentration. So that is the problem. Then the next problem is of fishermen detention. So that's what we spoke of, that it's high time that both India and Pakistan change laws and start to see fishermen not as criminals but people inadvertently crossing, because many a times they feel that these are not fishermen but these are spies who have entered into our region intentionally. So there have been cases against them. Many have served their terms also, still they are held back. And another thing is, many a times there is confirmation that they are not spies, still they are not released. So we need to make a way out of this. Judicial committee, as has been set up, should be further empowered and enhanced, and there should be clear treaties and agreements so that fishermen don't suffer because of the dispute between the two nations. So that is it. Thank you.